Live from the mountains, it's Sunday Night Live here on RGR. Welcome back to Summertime Sunday Night, which means we are live to hang out, answer questions, move through the off season, and just get us all through it until training camp opens. Welcome to RGR Football. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is what we do on Sunday nights. Tomorrow night, we're going to do a Q&A for all your questions. You'll run the show, and we'll just provide the answers. So join us tomorrow night, same time. Want to get in tonight about what I'm looking for in the fights, the fights for the roster. And I don't mean like camp fights. We're going to see one of those, I'm sure. But I mean the guys that are battling, right? Like, that's what I'm looking for. I listened to the comments from the coach over the weekend, Juwan Taylor as well. And I just come away with, like, some things are more settled than I expected them to be at this point, Dan. Does any of that stand out to you?
I'll be very honest. My wife decided that she was going to take 3 days off of work this week and didn't tell me. So I've been a little busy with my family.
Good
I
for
haven't
you.
gotten to see a ton. So if you would appreciate filling me in on some of the things that you heard so we can discuss, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. So Andy's very happy with the progress so far. And a couple of nuggets. I dropped them on Locked On Chiefs tonight as well, folks. So you can go watch that. If you're already a subscriber to Locked On Chiefs on audio, we do have the YouTube up as well. So if you haven't seen that, you can see it. But talks about what Andy had to say in terms of, like, it is Juwan at right. Like, without fail right now, he's not taking any left reps. It is Donovan Smith at left with the first team. But a couple of sources have let me know that when Donovan Smith had to miss an OTA practice or two, the person that filled in was not Juwan Taylor flipping, like they've said, and like Juwan says that he's ready to do. In fact, I took that as a big takeaway, a big plus, right? Because he was very adamant. Like, even in game, he answered a question from the beat reporters. Like, even in game, he says, athletically, I'm good to go. I can switch over if I have to. So that's a plus.
That's good.
But the guy who took the 1 reps with Donovan Smith out was Wanye Morris. And go ahead, give me, because you look flabbergasted. I was a bit surprised, but happily so, because he was a better right tackle at Oklahoma than he was a left tackle at Tennessee, but there's maturation in there. So it's not necessarily a 1-for-1. He was a better athlete and a better player overall as he got older. So moving him back to left, letting him try that out, and it was, as I understand it, a couple of days. That seems like an encouraging sign to me.
Yeah, that leads me to think that he's closer to what we expected him to be coming out than what the team kind of led on. And because when you bring in Donovan Smith and you're like, oh, guess what? We're going to have him be our left and move Taylor back to right. You're like, okay, well, Wanye's not ready for reps. But if you are comfortable enough to move him to left tackle in the stead of Donovan Smith, who's getting older on a 1-year deal, might have some injury stuff this year too, that tells you you're pretty comfortable with what he's doing right now, at least. Or maybe they're just trying to get him a look at him movement-wise in OTAs. That's another one of those possibilities.
It could definitely be, hey, there's an opportunity here, jump in the fire and let's see what you got. Yeah. As I understand, it was not injury-related for Donovan Smith. It was a family thing. Okay. Just had to step away from OTAs for a couple minutes. Okay, that's fine. I actually enjoy that. I'm a little surprised. I thought Lucas might have a chance to try that too if they were confident in him. I mean, as confident as anybody can be in Avery. I mean, you know, that smile, I just can't keep up with it. Well, when she's hitting it, there we go. It's like it's on cue. Hi, Miss Avery. Hope you're doing well. Everybody, the start of the show is here, so we'll just take a break so Dad can do dad things, and I'll just keep running my mouth because that's what. But like, overall, it's kind of fun because normally we would see them rotate through some O-line configurations, dramatically trying to actually set it up. And this seems more organic to me. It feels like, hey, you know what? We're going to let the best guy take the reps. It's not Darian Kennard. Right now on the left side, it's not Lucas Niang. It's not who's been there before. Not a worry. Hey, stuff happens. What are you going to do? I think people were expecting Prince Tega Wanogho. It was not him so far. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean that this week at mandatory camp, everything changes. Who knows? But I feel that that's like it's a gradual step in the right direction. And I feel like now more than ever, I feel better about having too deep at the tackle spot that seems to have it, at least to start camp, organized. Can they stay there? Can they battle through? That's really what I'm looking forward to, because I want to see somebody take that challenge and actually improve themselves.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I can imagine. Nobody can be the smiling one, but everybody can be, the best player that they can, right?
Yes. Oh, maybe we lost Ryan. I don't know. Or you lost me. I'm not sure.
Oh, looks like it was me this time.
Yeah?
You never know. So it's here's the crazy thing. I live at 9,500 feet, and for the first time in 18 years that I've lived up here, we're under a flash flood warning.
Wow.
On a mountainside. So yeah, there is hella storms out there. So I may drop out again. I don't know, but I mean, overall, I feel like the tackle spot is the one that I'm mostly concerned about. And Night Hunter, thanks for the update. Let me know if I unfroze. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you, so I would hope so.
Okay, I don't know if I'm still standing still, and you can just hear me, but hey, okay, cool. So that's where I wanted to start, and I put two guys on the cover because I've been debating this kind of for the weekend, and as I was preparing for Monday's Locked On Chiefs and tonight's stream, and I want to get your take on it as well. One of the surprise battles for me that I'm looking forward to, not just in mandatory minicamp, because I'm not sure it'll be much that, but in training camp especially, is going to be Nazeeh Johnson against Nick Jones. Because Nick Jones is getting nickel reps with the ones with L'Jarius and McDuffie out. And it feels like Nazeeh should be ahead of him, but it might be tighter than we think.
So I think Nazeeh projects more on the outside, which is why you see Nick Jones playing on the inside, which makes sense to me. He fits the next guy up for that nickel spot. He's a little bit smaller. He's twitchier. He's got really good ball skills. He can stick with guys in those short area and get open areas. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, especially because he's going to be probably asked to play special teams as well. He could, I would imagine Nick Jones might have some return ability to him. So that's something that I'm interested to see at training camp too, because you never really know. Some of these guys get held back from that stuff. And I think he's got a nice repertoire after the catch for a cornerback. So and
I like that you bring that up.
Me.
Did you see that on film? Because I didn't. So I'm glad that you bring that up.
Just a couple of transitions after interceptions. It seems like he sees the field well. It's just, I mean, he probably isn't going to be a return man, but it's something to think about. If he ends up making the roster, he could be somebody that they have to turn to or they want to turn to in situations like that. But in terms of the how this whole thing stacks out, he might have an inside shot over a Nazeeh Johnson because the corner room on the outside is kind of stacked. It's kind of the cupboard's kind of full, and it's not his fault. Like, it's not his fault, because I think he deserves to be at least in consideration for it. He had all year's experience, but the fact of the matter is that I don't think he can play nickel. And the one area that I think that you want to have options is corners that can play outside and can play nickel. And Nick Jones, he can play the outside, which you probably don't want him to exclusively. You want him to be more of that L'Jarius, maybe where he's outside and inside, but playing most of his snaps, especially key snaps, on the inside. But he has that versatility, and unfortunately for Nazeeh, I don't think he does.
Yeah, well, and it's worth the hunting here. It's worth the effort to try and compete about it. I'm excited about it. But the other this category for me, and this is all leading up to the main decision for tonight, as we let everybody, folks, super chats will definitely get a answer tonight. Go ahead and throw them in there. I see a couple of the questions, but if you guys have something you want to discuss or you want our opinion on, let us know. And we'll build up to that, get to that after this. The other guy that I think is on the outside looking in now, and I think it's unfortunate, but it is Josh Kano. He's on the thumbnail for this video as well. And for me, I think it comes down to maybe spot 49, spot 50, that those two guys in particular, Nazeeh Johnson and Josh Kano, are fighting for. And I wanted to get your take on which do you think, either out of positional versatility or positional need, or just their performance, who do you have a gut feeling for who makes it?
Yeah, I think it'd be Nazeeh Johnson. I think they'll carry more corners, more corner versatility, and special teams. I don't necessarily think that Joshua Kane has given you a ton on special teams. We know that Nazeeh Johnson does. He's going to be a guy that I would imagine Spags is going to either pound the table, not Spags, excuse me. I can see his face, and I can't even think of. I'm having some brain farts today, guys. Dave Tobe. Dave Tobe is going to kind of pound the table for him because he is going to be one of the core special teams guys, in my opinion, going forward. They had a whole transition last year, and I don't know if Tobe wants to be teaching a bunch of new guys more special team stuff. And I think that we saw how that worked out last year. So I would go the guy who is going to give you some ability on the outside as well, and bring it on special teams, because unfortunately for Joshua Kando, he's just been hurt and ineffective in his time when he's played. At least I can say for Malik Herring is that he's shown flashes when he's played, and you can't say that for Joshua Kando.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm definitely higher myself on Herring. It's the draft capital expenditure that I wonder if that weighs the balance, but we'll see. Honestly, there's a scenario where neither of them are on this roster and they're both practice squad guys, and I think that may be the most likely. So with that said, that was the main topic I wanted to cover tonight, folks, to give you a view of the things that are going through my head as we get ready for mandatory minicamp coming this week. We are going to do Q&A tomorrow night, so if you have questions, throw them in here. Scott, we've got you coming up here. Michael, we've got a couple from you. If you guys have some, throw them in there. Before we do, though, people asked for this, and I kind of worked Friday night on a design. It's very difficult to do this in a way that is original and isn't like taking from someone. So this is my first go at it. We'll see what happens. If you guys want to get either Dan's lid or my Rogue Nation hat, you can get that. But you can also go over here and check out the new Kelsey for President.
Nice. Yes. Yes.
I've got it so far on a couple of mugs and glasses and tumblers and whatnot. I'm having trouble getting the color scheme right for the colors that we can use, but I kind of played around with it, and I think people will dig that. So that is a fan request from you guys, and I wanted to get it
fantastic.
out.
That's fantastic. Applause. Fantastic. We got to get Travis Kelsey to sign off on this pronto.
Yeah, that's the only problem. Like, it's not a picture. Like, I had to like piece it together from some art, so like it is an amalgamation of some other things. So copyright wise, I don't think it's actually him, but you can get it over here at bit.ly/RGR store. It is RGRS capitalized. Otherwise, the bit.ly doesn't work. So take that off there if you guys want to go grab that, and you can always get the rest of the gear as well. So yeah, little play time the other night that I was able to come up with. So hey, that leads us to your questions. Let's start with Micah. He was first in here. So what's up, buddy? Dale Carter, Sammy Parker, Ryan Wiljet, and Jamal Charles underperformed going from KC to Denver. Do you expect the same from Clark? And does he fit that 3-4 scheme? He certainly fits the 3-4 scheme. Honestly, if he's able to play a little bit wider without having to be heads up on the tackle as much as he was in Kansas City, he may actually play better without that down and down out reach. It all depends how they deploy him, because honestly, I think Frank's probably going to be a third down pass rush specialist. I don't think he's going to be playing a lot on first down for them, so he's really going to be in kind of the same format in front that he's usually in. I don't know if there's a big difference there, but the reason Frank's not in Kansas City is because his play had declined. Yes, they wanted him back as a sporadic part-time pass rusher. Will it decline from what we saw in 19? Absolutely. Will it decline from last year? Possibly. But I expect it to be probably right about similar. Now, if he was playing for Fangio, I think that would change. But the way that it's going in Denver, I think it's going to be a little bit very similar to what we saw, maybe a little bit degraded.
Yeah, I don't expect him to be this, turn it up now that he's in Denver player. Like, that's not how this is going to work, in my opinion. He's been downturned for a while. He played the best in the last 3 years. This last season, because he was at 255. He was just a bit quicker off the ball. Like, we're being very honest.
He was a linebacker, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's the exact reason he's in Denver, because they're going to ask him to probably play around 250, 255. And that's probably, honestly, better for his health too, and better for his longevity, maybe to keep some of whatever's going on with his stomach off and some of the issues there. So he'll definitely, in my opinion, be a third down pass rusher. And then if injury, he can play a little bit more if need be. He's proven that he can play, as a functional starter in terms of being your second guy. So yeah, he's not going to be, like I said, I don't think he's going to be, his game's going to tick up. I think you could probably see it reasonably the same as it was this past season if he plays at the same weight.
Gotcha. I think we're pretty close on that. Thank you, Micah. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your support, buddy. Should we be concerned if Chris Jones doesn't show up for mandatory minicamp this week? You can start, Dan, if you want. I have a pretty boring answer.
I mean, I'm not concerned. This has happened before, right? Like, this has been done. We've been there, done that with Chris Jones. I think at the end of the day, all that matters is that they're communicating. He's been a little cryptic on Instagram a little bit here and there. Whatever. We've literally seen him post pictures of him with Le'Veon Bell from years ago. Like, this whole scenario for me has been played out. I no longer have any worries about it.
Well, I was about to say I could not give a rip because it doesn't mean anything. I believe it's an $18,000 a day fine is the maximum by the CBA.
Oh, no.
I'm not 100% on that. It's in the ballpark. Yeah, so like $80K for Chris Jones is not going to matter, especially
not when he gets his contract.
The big question is, like, how much? We heard that report going on 10 days ago now about they are feeling the need to get it done a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
They are, and that was from multiple aspects, as I understand it. And so maybe there is something. So is there a chance that he shows up in good faith and maybe it's to sign a contract that they've worked out? I don't know. But Scott, I wouldn't be concerned. I won't be concerned until it's report day at camp if he's not there. I expect that he will be, honestly. I'm really not overall concerned much at all, but don't let mandatory minicamp bother you much. It's a pittance to these guys that make this kind of money. Now, if you're a rookie, if you're a UDFA, yeah, show up or you're stupid. But yeah, multi-millionaire, top 32 players in the league, they ain't got to worry about it. Honestly, they might not even give him the fine. I heard of 2 guys in the last 3 years that held out until camp, and they waived all their fines just to get the deal done. So it may not even happen. Yeah, right? What are you going to do? Micah got another good question. XFL lost a reported $60 million this year. Do you think the Saudi Arabian group that owns Live Golf and now PGA would ever buy out the XFL or partner with the NFL or own an expansion team? I think the marketing question of a Saudi Arabian football team would be catastrophic. The Middle East does not want our sports. Half the time they don't want our support at all. So I don't think that that's going to go anywhere. But I will say this. I don't think it's to that point. We can argue about The Rock and what he's worth and what he does and all that stuff. I think what I've seen in the media this weekend has been painting him in kind of a bad light. He's just the guy at the top. He's not even the finance guy. It's not his own personal money that was into it. And I will say this, for what was it? Was it 8 teams or was it 10?
I think it was 8. I don't remember.
I thought it was 8 too. But even for that, you're saying you lost what? Not even $9 million a team when you had to find facilities and probably rent them and all the logistics. Like, that's not a big loss for a football enterprise like that. So I think that's like upfront cost that they couldn't recoup, and they'll make that back next year because I thought the product was better.
The XFL did a fantastic job. Every new business will always lose money in their first few seasons. They always say when you're starting a new business or anything like that, be prepared to go without your own salary for the first few years. Like, that's what this was. The XFL was putting something new out there. And the selling point, how many players got camp invites? How many players were signed to NFL rosters? That is the big turnover here. The XFL was a huge success, in my opinion. You had multiple, like we're talking 20 plus, I think, getting signed, not just getting camp invites and things like that from the XFL. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to get the NFL more talent. They're trying to show that not always are these guys that end up getting cut, maybe undrafted. They get second chances. It's an opportunity for these guys to play better. Hakeem Butler, everyone thought he was toast. Then he comes out and blows up the XFL. He has now signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I think he's going to make the roster. Like, this kind of stuff, it's fantastic. I do think he's going to make the roster.
We got to get our board bets going. We got to get our board bets going.
But yes, this kind of stuff happens all the time. I personally think the XFL was a success. It's going to be even better next year because they're going to have a better idea of all the stuff they didn't do well this year. and they did a pretty good job, I think. So I'm pretty excited to see where they go forward. I don't think they're going to lose that much money next year, but I 100% with Ryan. The group that owns the Live and is now partnering with PGA has less than zero interest in the NFL.
Yeah, if anything, if there's a London team, I could see something like Saudi. I think United Emirates Airlines is owned by Saudi backers, I believe. Like you could see something like that, but I don't see any team ever based in the Middle East. That'd be a wonderful world if that were to happen, because that would mean tensions have eased.
I was about to say, if that happened, we're living pretty nice,
right?
Right?
It's kumbaya all the way around. That's what I'm saying. Jackson, I think we got your Chris extension news. It could be coming, but wait for camp, I think is what's going to be the big deal. Mike has got another one. What's up, buddy? Thank you. Appreciate that you enjoy the pod. As always, Mike has been around here for a long time, folks. If you don't know him, say hi. Did you see the video of sports medicine Dr. Chow on Justin Ross? I did not. But I've talked to Dr. Chow a number of times, and I think he's got a pretty solid take on most situations. If not, what have you heard about the possible career-ending neck injury? Chow sounds like he wouldn't clear him. Well, he's already been cleared at this point in terms of the neck. He was cleared to come into camp last year. Now, as I understand, it was a degenerative thing, which is problematic for longevity of a career. But it was, I thought it was spinal stenosis is what I thought it was, which is what drove Sterling Sharp out of the league. But that doesn't seem to be the problem now. As I remember, maybe it was a phantom IR call, Dan. I don't remember, but I thought it was hamstring related.
It was
when he went out last year. Oh, it was the foot.
He was practicing in OTAs. Remember, we've got videos from last year of him participating in OTAs, and then he had a foot injury. So that's the reason he's been out, and the reason it's been kind of more of a ramp-up process for him. So, yeah, the Chiefs themselves have cleared him of the spinal stenosis, and I think most teams were just kind of hesitant on it. And when you have hesitancy, you tend to just kind of not even try to bring that player in. But the Chiefs did a lot of homework. They had their team look at it, and they're one of the best in the NFL, like bar none, one of the best for medical stuff in the NFL. They cleared him. So yeah, he just got unfortunately unlucky with another knee injury. That's not to say that his neck couldn't possibly happen again. Something couldn't possibly happen with that. That's not to say that couldn't happen, but they are confident in his ability to play right now.
And I will add this just for good measure, and I'm sure Dr. Chow would say this as well, because he's mentioned this to me in other conversations. Unless he's seen him, I don't know that he has 100% read on the situation, unless he's actually examined Justin Ross, which I don't know why he would have, given he is not an official physician role in any team any longer. I would say you got to take that with a grain of salt until you actually see the patient, and that's true with pretty much any condition, really. So, I know that Rick Burkholder and the team physicians will be monitoring that as well as anything else. I won't be surprised to see if the foot complication is something Liz Frank or stress fracture related, that kind of thing, because the recovery's been pretty long. So let's see what comes out and if we even do ever hear. So thank you, Micah. Kev, out of 3 players, D-Hop, Donnell, pass rusher Minnesota, and Dalvin Cook, ex-Minnesota running back. If you could have 2, which would you choose? Go ahead, Dan.
That's a no-brainer for me. It's Danielle Hunter and Dalvin Cook.
Okay. See, I'm the opposite. Not the opposite.
Not the opposite. You went the other opposite. You went the other offensive player. Yeah.
Yes, we both want Danielle Hunter. Yes, we'll take pass rush pretty much any day of the week. But I would go
top 10 pass rusher in the NFL. By the way, he's a top 10.
If allowed to cook, I agree with you. I think there's been some limitations on that, and the only problem is if you let him off the leash all of a sudden, you could run into an age-related physical thing that maybe he hasn't been stressed enough lately. So
maybe.
That's all aside. I would still go sign him and get him if it wasn't trade. But I think D-Hop has a bigger impact, because as much as I would love to see Dalvin Cook, particularly in outside zone and swing passes in this offense, I just don't know if Andy's going to use him enough. Every time I feel like we're going to get more running back influence on this offense, it doesn't happen. So I just don't know if it's a good investment.
I understand Dalvin Cook would be the most talented running back they've had since Jamal Charles.
Yes.
Period.
Agreed.
That's what it is for me. Patrick Mahomes lifts all the other offensive weapons. So as much as I think D-Hop lifts that ceiling for the team, I think Dalvin lifts the ceiling and the floor together, like pretty much higher because of what you said. Him in what Andy Reid does want to do. He wants to run outside zone. He just doesn't necessarily have the guys to do it. Dalvin Cook would do it if he's fully healthy. Again, he believes he is. His team believes he is. I think that Dalvin Cook in this offense would be so much fun.
I mean, you may disagree with me, but I think Dalvin Cook, I think his best scheme is outside zone. Inside, he's still solid. Gap power, he's okay, but I think outside zone is his best scheme.
Just get all the linebackers moving one way and find that cutback lane, and Dalvin's gone. Like, just remember, if you guys remember a few years ago, Damian Williams, like that's the kind of impact that the Chiefs are looking for, but even on another level. If you go back to the Minnesota game that Dalvin had that 90-plus yard run where he's running outside zone and he sees a cutback and he's gone for a touchdown, that's the kind of stuff that Dalvin could bring if he's 100% ready to go.
Yeah, y'all might fall out of your seats if he got back to not having to be the workhorse, to tell you the truth.
Just saying.
Thanks, Kev. Appreciate you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Wolfpack, dark horse player or players in the making for a surprising impact this coming season.
Dark horse player. Who's the guy everyone's like not even close to high on? I think, I don't know if many people are projecting him to make an impact, but I think Mike Edwards. You believe that he's not going to. He might not make the roster. I think that he's going to be that third safety guy. I believe he's going to be, and I think he can make a pretty big impact on those dime sets where they're in third and long, and he can just kind of sit and wait underneath and just pick off the ball. I think he could.
Fair enough. For the record, I do think he makes the roster. I'm not sure he's the third guy. I think Jamari Carter might sneak in there.
Okay,
because
I do love that.
Yeah, me too. And I do find some of Mike's plays to be opportunistic rather than created on his part. You know what I mean? I think he benefited from a good year in Tampa, so I think he's a little overblown. That's just me. I will say this, Wolfpack, and no offense to our buddy Cole over on How About Them Chiefs. I know you guys love him. I love him too. He had a video I think it was last week, about this player not making it, and I think it's the opposite. I feel like right now D-Hop's going to get paid and paid well somewhere else, and MVS is going to be the starter as the X, and something's going to happen. And Justin Watson's going to make an impact this season. I thought he got his feet wet, and I think he can come on and be a bit player that does more than Sky did last year. I think he could hit 300 yards and a few touchdowns, to tell you the truth. So maybe that's not like a super impact, but I think he's a guy that actually improves on what he contributed to the team last year.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Mike. I think Justin Watson's going to make the roster. Period. I think that he's already almost a lock in my eyes, and I think that he's. Because that trust factor. We talked about it a few years ago. If Mahomes doesn't have trust in you, he's not throwing you the football. He's just not doing it. And that happened a few years ago. They moved on to guys they could trust, that they felt they could trust. They developed that connection. And I do think that Justin Watson has that in spades.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that too. If you guys would hit the like, we would appreciate that. Thank you, Night Hunter, for making me remember, because I am terrible about that stuff. It's like I've run a channel for 4 years and I forget some of the basics sometimes.
It happens. YouTube's always changing.
Right? Can't keep up. Kevin, thank you. What do you guys think of my two predictions? Bushman over Blake Bell and Buechele beats out Blaine Gabbert. I would love for Bushman to make this roster. It doesn't even have to be over Blake Bell. I'd just like to see him make the roster because I like the guy. But right now, I haven't seen any evidence to see that yet. And Blaine Gabbert is going to be ahead of Steve Buechele. I don't think is it Steve Buechele? Or Steve Buscemi is who I'm thinking of, right? I
think you're thinking of Steve Buscemi. It's Shane Buechele.
It's Shane. Yeah, I've done dumber things. But yeah, what do you think of those two predictions from Kevin?
Honestly, I like the first one. I like Bushman over Blake Bell because there's upside there. There's no upside with Blake Bell anymore. He's pretty much done. And we saw Bushman having really impacted the preseason last year. He was doing stuff, and then he got hurt. But I'm with you. Blaine Gabbert's going to be the two pretty much forever for the next few years, I think.
And I just don't think Andy's comfortable without a veteran as the backup, period.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if Michelle was that good, we'd be talking about him getting traded because there would be so much more interest. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, by the way, I don't know if you all been hearing, I'm going to do a quarterback projection for this year on NFL 33, either next week or this one. My guy Zappy is just waiting for Mac Jones to fall on his sword because everybody's ramping up that this is not going to work with him and Bill O'Brien. I don't know. But I think it's more likely Bailey Zappi gets headlines and playtime as the backup than it is that Bouchel does. So,
yeah, I agree.
Nothing against Shane, but Blaine's here for a reason. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you. Jackson, thank you. I'm a little nervous about the Eagles, especially if Jalen and Nolan come around. Am I overreacting? No. I mean, they got younger at key positions in the pass rush. They have, Nakobe. Don't forget Nakobe Dean either. Like, he's got to come around too, right? Jalen, and I mean, it could all go to plan. They're getting younger and they could get more ferocious. The question's going to be is can they sustain themselves? I don't know if outside of the push the quarterback over the line, if that offense has a lot more to evolve. I'll be really interested to see, because if Jalen Watson isn't used more as a passer, then I don't see their offense progressing. But they should. Hurts. Who did I say now?
Jalen Watson.
Oh, I did it again. So it is Sunday, folks. I haven't even begun drinking tonight. So hey, but yeah, like I don't think you're overreacting at all, Dan. Do you see them as the premier team in the NFC?
Yeah, it's the Eagles and then everybody else. That's just how it is. They got better on, like I said, younger. I think that their offense is going to have some differences this year. I don't think Jalen can play the exact same way he played last year. I don't believe he can. We're going to see if he can take a step again forward. All he's done in his career has gotten better. Every single year, Jalen Hurts has gotten better. So if he can keep doing it, okay, he's going to keep proving everybody wrong. I don't think they can stay stagnant like they were last year. They're going to have to get better, a little bit different in some of the things that they do. And that's going to require, like you said, Jalen to just be a better overall passer, because there are some things last year that I don't think will continue to be the same with defensive changes.
Yes, I'm totally with you. Let's take a break for a second, just because. Thank you, Night Hunter. I appreciate you. I do have a double IPA waiting for me when we're done.
Oh, look at that.
But Dan and I haven't had a conversation before we started, so we might as well just take, a 5-minute break here in the show and talk beer for a second.
Yeah.
Buddy of mine brought me some beers this weekend. That's the last one I'm going to drink upstairs, from New Hokkaido, the name of the Japanese island, right? It's a brewery that kind of roams, and they've brewed at at Teton. They've brewed at like multiple breweries in Wyoming, and they just kind of roam around and they guest brew everywhere. Great beers. Really, really happy with New Hokkaido. So check them out if you can get them. And who's the one you're drinking tonight?
So I found a new place in Lee Summit. They have a location in Kansas City as well. Diametric Brewing Company. You guys, if you can see if this will get clearer at all, probably not, because my face is still in it.
Diametrically opposed it.
Yeah, it's not going in. Okay. But you could. It's this right here is called Crimson Bog. It's a dessert raspberry or cranberry raspberry sour. I love sours. Sours are one of my favorite beers, period. And this is incredible. They have another one over there as well. It's a blueberry dessert sour, and it's even better than this one. So I found them a few weeks ago. Their food's fantastic, and their beer has been excellent.
Is dessert sour that thing where they put lactose in a sour to like smooth it out?
Absolutely not.
No,
this is beer.
What's a dessert sour?
I think that they just oh wait, never mind. You're right. Yeah, this one says lactose in it. So yeah,
makes it smoother. Yeah, I prefer putting oats in them, but that's just me.
Yeah,
Gary, thank you.
It is extremely smooth.
Yeah, it goes a long way, right? There's a lot of folks that make milk stouts, folks. That's with lactose added. So if you are lactose intolerant, don't go near those. A milk stout is not your friend. Just so you know.
They're so good, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Joe, thank you. Which rookie makes the best impact on defense and offense this year? So who at the end of the year has the biggest nod that we give to the rookie class? Who is it?
I want to say Felix. I want to say Felix so bad. I'm going Kendra Coburn. I think Kendra is going to be probably out snapping Derek Nottie by season's end. I think he's got more upside as a pass rusher. I think he's probably even better as a run defender right now than Derek Nottie played last year. If Derek Nottie can come in and play like he did a couple years ago, then things are a little bit different. But based off last year's performance, I would take Kendrick Coburn. And this is probably just me talking, out my ass because we haven't seen him play in the NFL. I'm a big Kendrick Coburn fan. But on the offensive side, it has to be Rice. Like, it has to be Rice. Like, he's the only guy that they drafted that can actually play impactful snaps in terms of the rookie class. So that's it.
Barring an injury to Donovan Smith, I will agree with you on Rice.
Yes. Caveat, yes. No injuries. We don't project them.
I too want to say Felix and Ezekiel Uzama.
I know where you're going.
Do you?
I do.
Okay. Because he's a 4th-round pick, and I love 4th-round picks. Ask L'Jarius Sneed. But yes, Jamari Connor will be my pick. Because he's going to work in. Maybe he won't beat out Mike Edwards for the third stage, but he will work in. And at some point, you got to send somebody besides L'Jarius on a blitz. It's got to be Jamari Connor. Like, he is instantly the number 2 blitzer out of the secondary right now with just being a rookie of what I saw on his film. Because I'll take him over Watson. I'll take him over Williams. I'll take him over anybody else.
McDuffie's a pretty good blitzer. I like what I saw from McDuffie.
Okay, it's the physicality aspect of that.
No, I get that. Yeah, McDuffie's more of a I'm going to sneak in here and I'm going to get you. Like,
ding, ding, ding. Look that way and I'll hit you. Yeah.
Hey guys, look over there. He's a flanker.
I call that the distraction dog. That's what I call that on film. So, Joe, great question, and I'm glad we can get a chuckle out of it. Teddy, thank you for being here and your support, buddy. With Frank gone, is it time to bring Houston back? I mean, he's a favorite, man. I love Justin Houston. I've said this from day one. I was a big fan. I wanted him here in the first place. I had family at Georgia that were screaming at me the entire offseason. He'll be perfect in your defense. It's not 3-4 anymore, and Justin is, honestly, you tell me, Dan, because you were not a fan during the Justin Houston era so much, right?
Yeah, it was.
Like, you can't, like towards the end of his career only. All of it? Okay, never mind. Because I feel like he's actually sustained since leaving Kansas City. He's actually sustained his career okay. I just don't think that the bridge is there anymore.
I'm pretty sure he almost had double-digit sacks last year. Like, he was close. He was very good. He's been a very impactful pass rusher. That's all you need from him. If you can find a way. Andy, Brett, find a way. Please find a way. And honestly, he would be perfect to transition to Felix because that's what you want Felix to become.
Yeah,
you want Felix to get to that point. He's got the tool bag. He needs to learn a little bit of how Justin Houston stopped the run when he was playing at his prime. That's what it is. Like,
yeah. I mean,
sorry, I'm getting a little.
I would love to see Justin Houston back. I don't care if it's 4 years from now and he's retired for 3 years. I'd still like to see Justin Houston back. I will give you that answer consistently. But nevertheless, I don't know that the organization is there. They parted ways, as I understand, pretty acrimoniously. So I don't know. I know everybody likes to make it that it's all about dollars, and a lot of times it is about dollars, but the league is definitely about relationships as well. And I think that one may be kind of burnt and crispy, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But thank you, Teddy. Appreciate you and your support like always, pal. King Jamie, hope you're well. I bet DeAndre Hopkins has fun eating lobster this week, but he could really stop in KC to eat some Jack Stack. He certainly could. If I was part of the contract, I would give Chiefs deal give the Chiefs player real cheap. Yeah, I mean, hey, if you can work out a free delivery plan from Jack Stack just to keep everybody happy, it's a nice bonus on top of it. But it does segue me to something amongst my other thoughts on New England and the monstrosity that it is. I think it's total BS. I think the Titans is BS for Hopkins. I think they're both just stirring the waters to get the teams that he really wants more motivated, is my thought.
That's what I've been saying. Like, and plus, this is a tour for him. He watched OBJ do it for 2 off seasons, and he was like, I kind of want that. I want teams whining and dining me. I mean, I want that. I want that experience. I want you to show me what I mean to you. Like, I think that's what it comes down to, is that he might want to win a ring. He also might want some money. I think he definitely could be in that boat.
I would, if I was him, that's for sure. And ain't no way around that. Whoever said Rice is retired in the chat, we're not talking about Jerry. His name is Rashee.
He figured that out.
Very much in the league.
He figured that out.
I don't know if that was a joke, but I just caught that one. It made me chuckle.
It's all right, Don.
Jackson, what kind of role do you see B.J. Thompson in this season? That's a really interesting one, because if he is anywhere close to what Joe Cullen thinks he can be, he beats out Josh Kando and Malik Herring.
For sure.
I just don't know if he is. I think most likely is Herring and Kano do not make the roster, and B.J. Thompson is a practice squad pass rusher that maybe gets elevated. Until I see him at camp, I really won't know any more than that.
That's it. Like, we got to see these guys at camp. Like, it's BJ's a huge athletic upside shot.
Yes,
kind of like Kando was. Like, he was more. He wasn't like super athletic like BJ is, but he was more of a. We see some tools. We see a flash here and there. Okay, we'll see if we can work something out here. So hopefully BJ can come in and have a little bit more use of that athletic ability that he has to be able to say, hey, look, I got some upside here. You guys try to work me on the back end of the roster.
Yeah, I hope so. I would like to see that. Thank you, Jackson. And thank you, Kev. Bills don't scare me at all, even with their additions in this draft in the offseason. Bengals and Eagles concern me way more. Am I the crazy one? I mean, you're not crazy. I don't think the Bills are as surefire a team as the Eagles are. I think they're definitely, in terms of consistency, it seems to me, Dan, much more dynamic than the Bengals are. I think you get a pretty consistent output from the Bengals for the most part. But I will say, Josh is Josh. And with more tools, and God forbid Brandon Beane finds a way to steal D-Hop from the Chiefs and put him on that roster, we should be scared of the Bills.
Josh Allen in the divisional game against the Chiefs is the reason you should be afraid of the Bills. Okay. That's the reason as fans you should be afraid of the Bills, because Josh Allen, when he's playing peak Josh Allen, is better than any quarterback in the NFL outside of Patrick Mahomes. And that's the game you can see. You can see play for play why they are the 1 and 2 when they're playing at their peaks. Josh Allen has that ability. I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback. He does not have that ability. He just doesn't. And it's not his fault. When he's playing at his best, it's a consistent, okay, I'm really good, accurate. Josh Allen runs people over. He throws missiles from any part of the field, running to his right, running to his left, much like Patrick Mahomes does. So that's the difference for me. So while, I think the inconsistencies, the ebb and flow of the Bills goes as Josh Allen goes, those highs are ridiculous. And if they catch fire going in the postseason, that's something to be looking out for.
Yeah. I should put a graph. I'll build a graphic for it at some point, because I think Dan and I see it very similar. In terms of eliteness, right? Joe Burrow's right here. Josh Allen's floor is lower on any given week.
Lower, exactly.
But his ceiling is also higher.
Absolutely.
That's the
difference.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I'll put a graphic together for that, you guys. How much will we miss Frank the Shark? It's a great question, Stephen. And I think I am borderline in saying this. If it's just about the play on the field, I would take Justin Houston over Frank Clark right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. But it's not about just the play on the field. Frank Clark is going to be missed as a key cog in that locker room. And the motivation, the drive, the unforgiving nature with which he plays football. He is not somebody who gives up. Like in terms of when he's going after and they're in that playoff hunt, Frank Clark is a guy you want on the field because he wants to win just as much as you guys do. Like he's somebody that everyone loves. And while his play isn't always going to be what it once was, I think in the postseason you're going to miss that kind of. We can kind of count on Frank. Frank's going to be there for us, and he's going to get the job done. I can confidently say that Frank got the job done, and I love the personality that he brings to this team, or brought to the team, I should say.
Not only did he get the job done, but I'm going to tell you all, the one thing that scares me, Frank Clark is one of the few people to get Chris Jones to play better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a problem. I think Chris is self-motivated. I'm not terribly concerned about that. But if we see a drop in performance from Chris Jones, it's because Frank Clark ain't there to push him.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you this. Besides that, Frank is such an emotional person. I'll tell you this too. And I have not spoken to Frank Clark. I don't know any of his representatives. I have no contact with him whatsoever. Frank Clark took that deal with the Broncos because he's pissed and he wanted to hurt the Chiefs. I'm convinced of that. He's an emotional guy. And I think he wanted to be back here and he didn't get the respect that he wanted. And he went out and chose a team purposefully to be able to play against the Chiefs.
No, I wouldn't disagree with you in that. I wouldn't.
And I can't say I blame him.
No.
Okay, enough of that. That's pure speculation on my part. Like I said, I do not know Frank. I don't know his reps. I don't know anything. That's how I read it. Whiskey Bravo, hope you're doing well. Thank you for the support as always. You mentioned that Mahomes lifts the offensive weapons. Who would you, I'm guessing, say are as top 10 QBs that do that this well? Oh, in the whole league? I don't know if there are 10. That's where I'll start that conversation.
There aren't. There aren't 10 other quarterbacks that do it. But as far as lifting, that a lot of that goes with the style you play quarterback. Patrick now has gotten to that point where it's not just throws downfield. Like Josh Allen does not lift the offensive players around them. He doesn't. His play style can make the offense better, but I don't think Josh Allen has learned how to elevate players. I think Stephon Diggs made him better, not the other way around. Granted, they both elevated each other. I'll say that it helped Josh Allen be a little bit more comfortable because the guy was always open. Patrick is a little bit different now. We've seen him elevate everybody on the roster. Aaron Rodgers at his best does it. I believe Joe Burrow does it.
Joe's a pretty thin margin for me. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins or Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
They are.
I don't know if there's a big drop off if they had Josh Allen.
No, the argument for me is if you drop a different quarterback in that offense, yes, Jamar Chase would be great. Is T. Higgins great? I don't think he is.
I don't know. Like, again, it depends on the quarterback. But say it's Josh Allen, who you don't think lifts everybody as much. I think that he actually might have a better kind of connection with Higgins.
Oh, I don't.
Because of the routes that they run. I think that would work like gangbusters.
That's that they have a relative player on their roster that does that. Gabe Davis. Davis is a high pointer. He's not great at creating separation. He doesn't do much after the catch. He's more of a downfield player. And Higgins is a better receiver than Gabe Davis. I'm just saying stylistically they play relatively the same, in my opinion. And I believe Joe Burrow raises T. Higgins' floor, and he would also raise the floor of a Gabe Davis because of the accuracy with which he throws the football at all levels of the field. That's the only difference I have on those two.
Okay.
But are there any other quarterbacks in the NFL that we could argue do that?
I have one or two. I think Trevor Lawrence makes his targets better.
Okay, I'm with Zay Jones. That's all you got to say. Zay Jones was nobody until he became. Okay, I'm with you there.
Okay, I don't think Lamar does.
No.
I don't think right now Jalen does, but Jalen Hurts, I think, has it in him to do that.
That Super Bowl performance from Jalen Hurts absolutely does. If he can play like that, he'll be in that tier for sure.
Here's the question. Here's the big question. Are the Vikings good because Kirk Cousins makes his receivers better, or is Justin Jefferson carrying Kirk Cousins?
Justin Jefferson is carrying Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins.
And Thielen, we don't want to discount him. He was there for a long time with the Cousins.
He was, yeah. And last year was not his best season. But Kirk Cousins is a gunslinging kind of risk it all player. I don't believe he elevates. The risks he takes sometimes pay off. I think that's the big difference between him and a quarterback that lifts players.
I'm just looking down my list.
Yeah.
I have one I'm going to ask you about, but who else you got?
I'm thinking. I don't. There's nobody in the AFC West that would. AFC North, no. AFC South, we got the one that does. And AFC East, nah. I don't think so. Go ahead.
This one's really hard. And for those of you who don't remember Quincy Carrier, he's been on the channel a number of times. And you may see something in the fall from Quincy and us. I'm looking forward to that. You got to think back. It's a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah. Okay. I know where you're going.
If he picks it up, I think Deshaun Watson has the ability to be that guy. I think he's shown it in the past. Obviously, he's had a boatload of trouble. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he can recover to get back on the path that he was on. But if he does, I think he can be one of those guys.
Yeah. If he can even get back to 90%, I think he will. I think Justin Herbert does too. But last year and the year before, he was so limited by Lombardi's offense, he was almost not allowed to throw the ball down the field. He almost was not allowed to. Against the Chiefs, he did quite a bit, but other times he didn't. So I think Justin Herbert is there as well. So I'll say that. And Deshaun Watson, if he gets back to his level of play, will also. So there's two more for you.
Okay, fair enough. The only thing I question about Justin, and I love Justin, is despite feeling like he does make his players better, I don't see it on the field. The results don't show me that. On a route-to-route basis, I see it when I watch film. But even Mike Williams and Keenan Allen,
I think that's Lombardi. I think that was all Lombardi.
I agree, but that's the part that I'm struggling with there is just I know he can.
Yeah.
He needs Pep Hamilton, folks. Let's be real. We should all be very scared if the Chargers bring Pep back at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I'm having such brain farts today. The offensive coordinator now for the Chargers, who was just with the Cowboys last year, see if he learned some of his lessons with Dak.
Yeah, I can.
Dak's up there for me too. I think Dak.
It's not Kendall.
Can do that.
What's his name?
He played quarterback for Boise State. See, I can even tell you what team he played quarterback for, and I can see his face.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know exactly who you're talking about, and I cannot. Kellen Moore, not Kendall. Kellen Moore. I have a brain block on him, period. But Kellen, not Kendall. Man. I must have been watching too much Succession lately, folks. I just finished that show last week, so for me, like draft season, I don't get to watch TV. I get caught up after. So,
yeah.
Night Hunter, Rashee Rice, what's your expectation, and what would you think? Damn, that was a great draft pick.
Ooh. Okay.
My expectation is 4 touchdowns and 600 yards.
My expectations is closer to what Sky Moore did last year, maybe a little bit higher, 400 plus yards, 2 touchdowns. That's my expectation. Dan, that's a good draft pick. If he goes 650, 700 yards and has 5-6 touchdowns, I'll be like, yeah, as a rookie in this offense, which we haven't really seen do it. Yeah, that's what will make me say that.
Okay, 8-8 would be mine, because that would mean 2 things. Not only did he learn the offense, but he was able to be the guy that takes advantage of what he gets when they double Kadarius and they take care of Sky with a safety or something else zone wise. He's got to be the guy who manufactures his own touches in those situations, and that requires knowing the offense and being adaptable. So that's where it would lie for me. Mr. Big Phil. What do you think about the secondary down the road? I think they're making good investments, and I think they have guys in the I think there's a pipeline now.
Yeah,
I think you can see it. It hurts me because I think L'Jarius has to take a lighter deal, or he's going to get offered something gargantuan that takes him to another team.
I agree.
And if you guys remember, I was early on Trey Diggs. I was early on L'Jarius. I want to see him stay here, and I just don't know if it's going to happen. because the pipeline is so built up, there's other talent behind him. And that's, I think it's really interesting. I think that's probably another something, Dan, that we should probably talk about on 33. Folks, if you're not subbed at NFL 33, you can get a free one. You can support us if you want to get all the behind the scenes stuff. Go to NFL33.com. It's a Substack and you can sub there. But I think the Chiefs bucking the trend of having a shutdown corner and just taking athletic talent that they feel that they're going to give some up, but they're going to get more than they give. Like, I think it's a really unique philosophy in the league that just saw Sauce Gardner be the rookie of the year, and they went all out on that. And you've seen the edge rushers get all that attention. Like, the secondary is pretty unique, I think, across the league.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's having a really kind of insane impact on what the Chiefs are doing, because you look around and you're like, okay, yeah, they've invested in one guy, Trent McDuffie. Everybody else, 4th round picks, 7th round picks. Like, they're going about it in a unique way, and they're getting good play, not just like replacement level play. Like, sometimes you can argue, okay, yeah, these guys are backups in a lot of other teams, but otherwise they're doing a good job, and they're flashing here, they're flashing there, they're making game-winning interceptions. Like, they're doing some things you don't really expect from 7th round draft picks. So it's definitely unique in the way that they're going about it, and they've found something that really works for them.
Yeah, and capitalize it all you can. Let's go. Thank you. Great question. How many sacks does George have this year, Dan?
I'm going to set it at the over-under at 7. What do you think?
Over.
Yeah, I'll go over. I get 8. I think
9.
8 is where he ends up.
I have 9. I think Amenahue next to him, and I do expect to see that on 3rd downs, rushing from the inside. I think that's going to have a pretty good effect myself.
I wonder how much they work in Felix. I think that might end up taking away some of those, because he's just faster. He's just a faster player. So
quicker off the ball, yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay, fair enough. Have you heard anything? Thank you, Mr. Phil. Have you heard anything about Danny Shelton? Nothing at all. From what I understand, nothing's changed. He's still a beast of a man who takes up a lot of space. I expected him to be a veteran on the practice squad again. I don't think he can push. And honestly, that's one of the positions that I think the Chiefs need. I think it's light. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
somebody's at the door. I think the defensive tackle spot is something. I mean, right now, Derek Nottie gets hurt. It's Turk coming off of a knee injury and Keandre Coburn. That's it. That ain't enough. That's why they're going to have Mike Danek. Who's that?
Malik Herring's going to play defensive tackle this year.
Elevated from the practice squad, probably.
Yeah.
I think so. But that's why Mike Dan is going to play inside reps. This is why Charles Amenahue is going to play inside reps. That's why George Kalop is going to play inside reps. And that, I think, is another like zig when the league is zagging change for the Chiefs, that they're going to mush rush it.
Absolutely.
I don't blame them.
I love it.
Thank you, Phil. Good to see you, Phil. Night Hunter, Trey Smith and Creed make me love watching linemen play. They just love hitting guys and dumping them. Yes. Trey's great for a pancake every game. I mean, it's going to happen. Yeah. And he takes it's just so joyful. I want to see Juwan Taylor get to that point, because Juwan Taylor's a more finesse player. He's got the athleticism to be the tackle. I think Trey's going to rub off on him a lot.
I hope so.
I'm looking for some finishes.
That's how you build an offensive line.
And if it goes according to plan, if I'm Andy Heck or slappy assistant to Andy Heck's assistant, I'm in the room going, Trey, just wait. Someone's going to spin back inside on Juwan, and you can cut him in half. Then it'll be over. And I think those guys are going to find their rhythm. I'm pretty excited.
I'm so excited.
Phil, thank you again. Is Generic Prince as good as everyone says he is? Will he be able to push Jerick McKinnon for the 3rd string? I don't know if anyone knows that he's that great. I haven't heard that from anyone I trust yet.
There's a 0% chance that happens. I will tell you right now. There's a 0% chance. And again, Jerick McKinnon is kind of being underappreciated. I think Jerick McKinnon was an excellent back before he got hurt. He was hurt in Minnesota, and that's what derailed a lot of his explosiveness. He was a little bit different. He was like Damian Williams plus. Like, I think he could do a little bit more than Damian Williams could, but he had that speed, electric ability to him. But now he's just a really fundamentally sound player. Like, he's a really good pass catcher, a really good pass blocker, and a good fundamentally sound running back. And I also don't believe Deneric's all that great.
I like him, but I got to see him against NFL competition. I won't know anything until the second preseason game.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day,
get eyes on these guys.
Yeah. I'm hopeful. I will say that, Phil. I am hopeful because I'd like to see them have an in-house option that can round that out, because you're still going to give Clyde reps unless he just turns to a terrible attitude guy. I hope that they protect and they leave Clyde as the number 2 and protect Jarek from early season reps.
I agree.
I personally would do that. But I'd love to see generic be another option. We'll update you come training camp for sure. Sure. Michael, what do you think of the safety group? I think it's really interesting. And I think it might be shifting away from like power inbox third safeties towards coverage third safeties. And that's where I'm trying to get a feel for it. So I'm optimistic, and I love the youth. I like Connor's game, and I think it fits where the defense needs to go.
Yeah, it's intriguing. That's right now the best thing I have for it, because I like what Brian Cook could be. I like what Jamari Connor could be. I like the idea of Mike Edwards playing up to what he played at last year, even opportunistic. And that's all of it is intriguing. I don't have any like real, they're going to be really good. I think that's the one thing that could hold this team back next year. That's the one position that I think could actually hold them back.
Good thing is running backs are dime a dozen.
Yeah.
You'll find another one. So I'm not too worried about it. That's my mantra for this Sunday, folks. So we're going to hit the last couple here and bid you adieu, but take that mantra with you. I'm not too worried about it. It's going to be great. I should put that on a shirt is what I should do. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate you. And the questions. Mizzou was telling us Shelby Harris and Matt Ioannidis are still available. Unfortunately, for a reason, buddy.
Shelby's got injury problems.
Yes. And
that's not, otherwise he would be on a team.
And Ioannidis I thought he fell off a cliff last year. I don't see the push. I don't see the power. So I think that's why. Fill-ins if you need them.
It's unfortunate.
And we'll wrap it up with our question. Again, if you are interested and you want to support the channel and get the new stuff, jump over there and check us out here on RGR Store. You can get it. It's in the description, I guarantee. It's got the MVP logo. It's got the new Kel stuff. I love this one, and nobody seems to like it but me. But I love pissing Broncos fans off because this is rebuilding. So take that. And there's always the We Own the West. So, it's always fun. When you live in enemy territory, it's kind of fun to pick at people. So anyway, Gary, who is one of our moderators, if you guys would give Gary a hand in the chat, we would appreciate it. Do you guys see the Chiefs start the season really hard and get things started this year? Or do you think like they need to ramp up, Dan? What's your gut tell you?
I like, we've complained about it for long enough. They seem to want to just ramp up and try some things out early on. I'm all for it. If it's going to get them in the Super Bowl once again, bring it on. Bring on a rough start defensively, maybe having some issues on offense every now and then. Bring it on if they're going to figure it all out.
I think they're going to screw around and win like a 1-point and a 3-point game in the first quarter of the season, and I'm going to have to hold myself back and be like, it's going to be okay.
Every time.
It's going to be okay.
Every single time.
But I hope it's a hard start. I hope it's pedal to the metal, Gary. I just don't think Andy's going to do it. But we'd like to know what else you guys want to know. Be back here tomorrow, same time. Q&A. You guys are running the show. We're just answering the questions. Thank you for being here on a Sunday night. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I certainly enjoyed mine. And Dan, I think you have to get back to the barbecue here pretty quick, don't you?
I mean, my hands still smell it. So we're doing all right.
That's awesome. You guys have a great Sunday night, and we'll see you back tomorrow night live for Q&A. Have a good one.